Okay, continue with R. Murray Schafer's 1969 book, A New Soundscape, The New Soundscape. We're on page 10. When John Cage went in such a room, however, he heard two sounds, one high and one low. When I described them to the engineer in charge, he informed me that the high one was my own nervous system in operation, and the low one, my blood in circulation. So even when we're in silence, perfect silence, such as in an anechoic chamber, there's still sound. You can hear your heartbeat, you can hear your circulation, you can hear your nervous system apparently. Cage's conclusion: there is no such thing as silence. Something is always happening that makes sound. Cage had detected the relativity of silence, and in choosing silence as the title for his book, he emphasized that henceforth any use of the word must be qualified or assumed to be ironical. The myth of silence. Has been exploded. From now on, in traditional music, for instance, when we speak of silence, we will not mean absolute or physical silence, but rather merely the absence of traditional musical sounds. Yeah, absence of traditional musical sounds or unintended sounds, right? Because they do still put up sound barriers in concert halls to take away as many silences, to take away as much noise as possible. So if there is, say, a bar of silence in a Beethoven symphony, it still has a purpose, even if it's not absolutely silent. The psychology of visual perception, one talks of the alternation of figure and ground. So figure being what we're focusing on with our eyes, ground being that around us. Either of which can become the visual message for the eye, depending on what it wants to see. In certain drawings, the identical forms combine to produce two subjects, either of which may be seen in relief against a neutral ground. For a long time, we may see only one image. Then with a sudden flicker, the relationship is reversed. Think about back in the 90s, there were those magic images that you would see, right? If you looked at them long enough, you saw another image. I actually never got those to work. There's some percentage of people that can't get their eyes to do that. I was one. Similarly, the sound engineer speaks the difference between signal and noise. Okay, so signal and noise. So figure and ground is signal and noise. The wanted sounds from the unwanted. Behind every piece of music lurks another piece of music. The minuscule world of sound. Events which we have carelessly assumed to be silent. The moment these events flash into the foreground, we call them noise. Any reappraisal of music will have a good deal to say about noise. For noise is sound we have been trained to ignore. You got an image here. This is his drawing, not me. Got a cough in there, sniffle, sneeze. Actually, I think people do cough more during concerts than otherwise. Up to page 12. If one listens carefully to the spaces between the cyclopean chords that open Beethoven's Eroica Symphony, the Heroic Symphony, he will discover a dense population of quite unheroic sound events. Coughs shuffles, record scratches, or whatever. Like the distinction between figure and ground in the drawing, we may also now distinguish between figure and ground in music listening. Try, for instance, to listen to a musical performance focusing not on the music itself, but all the extraneous, non-musical sounds that surround the music and crowd forth during its momentary pauses. My class did this. It is strangely sensitizing exit to refocus the ear. Actually, this is one of the reasons I like outdoor concerts, because the sound outside of what the musicians are intending is also intentional and beautiful. Continuing on. But we began by speaking of quiet sanctuaries. A student reminds us, should we not try to protect great music from intrusions by continuing to build better rooms for its performance and demanding more scratch-free records? Well, we've definitely done that, right? Indeed, perhaps another student suggests the new concert hall will be a stereo set in a living room. Oh, that's happened too. Certainly, it is a new concert hall. Then, doesn't it follow that our living room or music room should receive the same careful attention as to insulation and acoustics as the present concert hall? How many of us have soundproof rooms in our houses? How much would it cost builders to create them? And so we found ourselves an assignment to approach the building trade to discover what the present soundproofing regulations are and how they will be improved. After our investigation, we found we had learned a lot about soundproofing materials, sound transmission through wood, glass, and other materials. We discovered, for instance, in our city that there are no minimum regulations for acoustic treatment of walls in houses and apartments. We decided that in our ideal home, we should be able to specify to the builder what noise level we were prepared to tolerate. So we took a sound meter deep into the woods. Let's see, we have a little footnote. A sound meter is a device for measuring the intensity of sound in decibels, with the 0 dB established as the threshold of hearing. So we took a sound meter deep into the woods to measure the quiet there. At first, peace. Then an airplane buzzed us. After it left, we took a reading, 15 decibels. So 15 is what you can just hear. I mean, a 0 is just what you can hear, so we're 15 decibels just in the woods. Then we went to the home of Jeff B., who said he lived in a terribly noisy apartment, to measure the noise level there. A radio was playing in the next apartment. Children were shouting in the hall. Our reading, 64 decibels. 64 dB. Then we got into an argument about whether that was noise or not. There were 5 of us, Barbara, Donner, Jeff, Doug, and myself. Barbara liked the music on the radio. That's it. And we continue with the next new definition of noise next time. A lot to think about here as musicians and music teachers. Have a blessed day.